Forgot to hit go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I'm your host, the Sick Runner. Yes, really. I have not been doing well for a couple of days now, actually. Which really sucks. I was really hoping to get some work done. And then my throat died. And I've been having trouble sleeping as a consequence. And so, knowing that I have a lore run starting today, I decided to go ahead and try to rest for the last couple of days. And get some, get some personal projects done rather than work done. And yeah, it sucks and I hate it. Moving on. So anyways, I'm sick. And I'm just telling you that because I'm going to tell you that at the beginning of the lore run too. For anybody watching the VOD, because I want to make sure that you guys are well aware of the fact that I am currently sick. I don't want to be like, hack, cough, hack, and people are like, what's wrong with him? I just realized I don't have music going. What would be good music for today? We're going to have a fairly brief lore week. There was effectively no news this week, or at least no news of worth. Honey, you got it. Yeah, it was actually 60 degrees here during the day in October. You know what? We're playing a Diablo game today, so let's play Mario music. There we go. That makes sense, right? I'm with that. You're with that. We're all with that. Yeah, I know, right, Questy? Every single time I go to start a lore run, my throat just goes, ha-ha! Like, not every time, but it happens a lot. I'm not actually I don't think there's any real correlation there. It's just, it happens from time to time. Remember the original Final Fantasy Marathon? Now, back then, it wasn't just me being sick. I actually had lesions on my throat, but I was still recovering from the surgery and all that fun stuff back then. So, it was worse in basically every way. Excuse me one second. Oh, it was horrible, Questy. It was horrible. But I muscle through. I've got all this muscle, I gotta use it for something, right? I was figuring it out today. I am so long. Look at this. Like, I don't know if you can really tell. This is almost a full foot from the back to the front of my chest here. It just looks weird. Anyways. Yeah, I remember Kingdom Come, too. I could barely speak, but no, I don't have time to not do this. I don't have time to put this off. So I've got 2 full things of water. I got my Dayquil right here, which I'm going to chug as needed. Unfortunately, I don't have any good food to eat, so I'm just going to live with my frozen food. Centigrade? Oh, hang on. Oh, you mean Celsius. I was going to say. Oh, that's pretty warm. Oh yeah, I need to go grab the cough drops too. I have Sucrets over there, ready to go. Anyways, so like I said, we have a fairly brief lore week. Let me pull up my notes here really quick. So I only have a couple things to talk about really quick, like... Excuse me. How many of you have seen... This is just like the brief news section where I just kind of ramble about little news. Star Wars. The Deadpool Before Christmas. How many of you know what I'm talking about? I know the feeling, Tara. I was waking up every hour or so. So, Deadpool Before Christmas is a, I guess, PG or PG-13 version of Deadpool 2, which is coming out this Christmas. And it's cutting out some of the more egregious aspects of it that were making it rated R, and it's adding in additional dialogue and cutscenes that they filmed special for this. Now, this is speculation, but apparently Fred Savage is coming on board with it, and we've seen a picture of Deadpool reading a book to Fred Savage. So I think they're going the Princess Bride route with it. If you don't remember Princess Bride, Fred Savage was the kid that the book was being read to as part of the framing device. So, what I'm thinking is Deadpool's going to be like, let me tell you a tale. Because, you know, Ryan Reynolds has a very specific tone. Let me tell you a tale about Deadpool. La 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 la. Ignore this part. And then they all have happiness. So I'm actually legitimately curious enough to see this version. So we'll see where they go with that. I don't know. Do you not look at my website, Max Time? I have a website, I swear. Iron Fist is a television show that has been canceled. I don't have a lot to say about this since I haven't actually been watching the, what do they call them? The Netflix shows or whatever. You know, the Marvel Netflix shows. But everything I've heard is that Iron Fist actually sucked by the end there. And that's why they're canceling it. I'm not sure what to say about that otherwise. It is actually interesting because they are pushing forward with the other shows. Jessica Jones got renewed. And they just finished up Cage, I think? One of them just finished. I know, Max Time. I know. I get you. It was Cage. I was right. Yeah, I mean, the concept of the Iron Fist is interesting to me. I'll admit that. You know, you guys know me. I like ground level, down-to-earth stuff. But, yeah, by every account, the show just kind of couldn't find itself and just sort of did this. And now they're canceling it. That is a damn shame. And the only thing I wanted to mention about that is how much of a damn shame it is that, thanks to the very nature of the systems of economics, companies are more likely to abandon a project that is not doing well, you know, that is underperforming, rather than trying to shore it up. I've actually talked about this concept before, and this could be a whole other topic that I don't want to get into right now. All I want to say about it is that it's a damn shame, because I think there's some potential with that type of concept, with the Iron Fist. Not shooting bullets that have Iron Fist energy. No, none of that. Hi, Chocolate Rob. I'm sure most of you have heard this news. Star Wars Whatcha-Fig finally got cease and desisted. We were all waiting for that for like a year at this point. Whatever. I can't do the fear thing because of my throat. Or the Phobos thing, because we're never going to do that again. But thank you very, very much, Mike Romano. As ever, much appreciated. Would you like to put that towards anything? Ah! Well, you know, fear. Thank you very... Ah! Thank you very, very much, Mike Romano, Kirano, and Rockhound. Thank you, all three of you. Oh, God, no! Why? Why? I can't do the fear thing! It's not fair! Hang on. Terror. If my throat gets better, I'll start doing that, Blackwell. I like that idea. Yeah, let me pull up Winamp. Let me pause the music. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. There you go. There you go. Ahem. Thank you. Who was the last one? The last one that just came out. It scrolled up the thing. Thank you very, very much, Cyber Garden. Thank you, everyone, for your subs. That is much appreciated, especially given the current circumstances. Would you guys like to put that towards anything? Now, Mike Romano, I swear I saw a question as that was scrolling by. And that question was, can you put it towards something that's already funded? Yes, because that shows interest. That shows how many people care about that thing. So yes, you can. Yes, I have, Jaludo. I've been trying to avoid that news because I can't even apparently talk about it without controversy exploding in my face. You got it, Micromano. I'll jot that down right now. So that's Micromano. 2-point hospital. And everyone else, if you'd like to put your subs towards something, please let me know. Carino, Rockhound, and Cybergarden. Just let me know. Have I talked about STO? No? What about STO? You will see, Dream Whisperer. You will see. Oh my god. Well, this is definitely filling me with some... Thank you very, very much, Pico, as ever. Much appreciated, and very grateful for that. You helped me pay my bills, guys. It's going to be very important in the coming months. What would you like to put that towards, Pico? Anyways, oh, the Discovery content. I mean, Doom Eternal, you got it, Rockhound. Rockhound _ Doom Eternal. I don't have any personal interest, Libertas, but if you guys fund a Resident Evil 2 remake playthrough, I'll do it. It's gonna be gory as hell, but I'll do it. What the hell was I talking about? Right. So they canceled that, and then they shut down... All I wanted to say about the KOTOR thing, about the KOTOR remake and the shutdown, is that I'm getting sick of this. See, here's the thing. For the longest time, I was among the many, many other people who have said, you know what? It's totally understandable why companies shut down these projects. They have to protect their IP. Because that's true, kind of. Then, close to a year ago now, I decided to look into the actual legalities of the situation. And it filled me with... Thank you very, very much, Gly here. As ever, very much appreciated. Would you like to put that towards anything? And I think I just saw... Pico, there it is. Pico wants to put that towards Pico 40k. Vampire. Thank you very, very much. Oh. I'm already losing my throat. I just started. I have a whole stream to do today. I have since discovered, having decided to look into the specifics and actual legality of the situation, that it's relatively cheap and easy for a company to basically hand over the rights in one specific circumstance to a fan project and say, hey, we officially endorse this fan project, and therefore this is not a case that can be used against us legally as a case of us not defending our IP. That's something that can be done. It's actually really easy and quick and relatively simple to do. The only argument against doing that is the company in question would, at least they should, vet the fan project. Because at that point, they would need to make sure that putting their label on it is something that they're okay with. However, in every case that this has happened in over the last several years, that I can think of anyways, there's no problem with that. I mean, another Metroid 2 remake didn't have any problems with it. They didn't just suddenly start flinging pornography all over the place. No, it was just a Metroid 2 remake. So hang on a second. I'm sorry, what, Palayan? I don't understand your question. But I'm sick, and I can't stream properly, and you're also... God damn it. Okay, I'll look at that in just a second. Hang on. Gwy here. I want to spell this right. The Windlord puts it towards Dark Messiah. And Cybergarden puts it towards Doom Eternal. Thank you, both of you. Ah. Excuse me. Let me just double check that here. Don't even have my donation feed up right now. It is from Libertas specifically to fund a Resident Evil 2 playthrough. Thank you, Libertas. Thank you very, very much. As I said, I've already vetted this one, so it's one I'm already cool with, so I will jot that down. Libertas, Liber 60, Resident Evil 2 PR. Oh no, yeah, that'd be cool, Palayan. That'd be totally cool. In fact, I've wanted to look at that game anyways. Is it out yet? I haven't looked at it in a while. Anyways, point being, I still haven't finished my point. All I was going to say is that all of my sympathy for these companies and shutting down fan projects has gone away because their legal departments is telling them we need to shut this down to defend our IP, and that is a bullet point. That is not the full nuance or complexity of the reality. There are ways to allow these fan companies to keep doing projects and fan projects while still being legally protected. And I want to stress the way I say that because I'm not talking in reality land. I've said so many times, there's reality land and then there's legality land, and the two are completely separate from each other. In reality land, in reality, no one would ever assume that there's a legal threat to you because you allow a fan to do a fan project. That's stupid. But in legality land, there's still a way to defend yourself legally, even allowing a fan to do a project. So in both categories, there's a way to defend against this. And it's starting to frustrate me more and more as I see more and more companies do these cease and desists for things that there's no reason to. It could be argued they are spending more money in terms of how much they have to pay their legal department to officially ratify, notarize, and then send out this cease and desist notice than if they did the exact opposite and were like, here you go. Anyway, sorry, just drives me batty. Where's my notes? What else? What else we got going on? Star Wars Resistance came out a week ago, and Episode 2 is coming out today, apparently. I have no idea if it's any good or not, but I only mentioned it because I forgot that it was even coming out. And I was trying to figure out what Star Wars stuff was live right now, and that's the only thing. Like, Clone Wars Season 7 isn't coming out for forever, and we don't even have a release date for Episode 9, and all the other side projects don't have a release date. Mandalorian doesn't have a release date. So Resistance is the only thing coming out right now as far as Star Wars goes. I have no interest in it personally. Like, none. I don't like that style of art, and the time period is just completely disinteresting to me. So we'll see what they do with it. I don't know. We'll see. See, that's an interesting comment. Tigzar says, companies don't make money from fan remakes. Why would they allow them? Now, I don't know if Tigzar is trying to make a legitimate point, if he is trying to make a straw man point, or if he's being sarcastic. But in all three ways, he's wrong. Because actually a company can and will generate based on approval and presentation of allowing and supporting fan projects. There's a lot of actual financial, legal backing for this idea. Because allowing and endorsing fan projects generates goodwill. Goodwill generates sales. Almost directly. It's a one-to-one corollary in almost every case. There are, of course, exceptions. But, yeah. Moving on. Speaking of animation and live action, let's go ahead and talk about my first real topic. Yeah, Sega. That's actually a good recent example. Sega took advantage of fan projects with the Sonic stuff with regards to Sonic Mania. And it worked out really well for them. And they generated money. Yeah, CD Projekt Red is another example of a company that has cashed in, for lack of a better way to put it, on customer faith, customer support. Anyways, getting back to my point. I don't know, Sober Cookie. I didn't know either until I started really digging into it, because no one talks about it. No one talks about the fact that there's a legal way to make this happen. Anyways. I do remember Street Fighter X Mega Man. I actually do remember that. That was another good example of that. Let's talk about Disney really quick, while we're talking about people who are horrible about copyright and copyright and laws and legality. So, for those of you not aware, what is this music? I just have it on Mario Brothers, right. I forgot I did that earlier. Let's go down here instead. There we go. That's much better. How many of you have seen any of the live-action Disney films that have come out over the last couple of years? I don't know all of them. I know Cinderella came out, and I know Beauty and the Beast came out. I'm not sure what else has. Honest question. No judgment. I like Disney films. I like some Disney films. Now, for those of you unaware, Maleficent doesn't count. Maleficent was different than what I'm talking about. See, what I'm talking about... Oh, yeah, Jungle Book. That was another one. Jungle Book came out. What I'm talking about is Disney, for the last several years, and for the next couple of years, has been going through and effectively doing live-action remakes of most of their films in the so-called Disney Golden Era, which is basically from Little Mermaid up to, like, Princess and the Frog. Like a 10-year gap there. Or 20-year gap, excuse me. Now, before we talk about specifics, I'm not actually sure what I think of this in general, because this has been a clear, decisive movement on behalf of Disney. It's not like... Whether or not these films are selling particularly well doesn't actually seem to matter for the actual executives, because they already put their weight into this. Yeah, Dumbo, that's another one. They're doing a Dumbo one, too. The three I know that are coming out are Dumbo, Aladdin, and Lion King. Now, first of all, just the idea in concept is something that I have to admit, and I know you're all going to hate me for this opinion, sounds really, really cool. Now, hear me out for a second. The idea here... hang on. I was not expecting this. Thank you very, very much, Libertas. Please stop giving me money. Especially right now. I don't know if I can take it. If I die on camera, you're going to have to get a refund. Thank you, Libertas. I will put that towards... I've already put that towards Ghost of Tsushima. So, what was I talking about? I like the idea, okay? And that's the thing you're all going to disagree with. What I mean by this, and I don't know how many of you understand this, so I'm going to just try to explain this as best as I can. I would hazardous, that's true. I would be more famous posthumously than I am alive. God, that's sad and depressing. Anyways, the idea of taking an existing work and doing your own shtick on it, remixing it, basically, is something that appeals to me. It's one of the things that got me into remixing music to begin with, is because I loved the idea of taking a song and just seeing what I could do with it, and trying something, and going in a new direction with it. You know, I love the idea of putting my stamp on Star Wars. I love the idea of putting my own stamp on Star Trek, or Disney films, or Kingdom Hearts, or Final Fantasy, or whatever. As a creator, as a writer, as an artist, as a musician, or composer, I guess, and as an editor, all of that just sounds fantastic to me. I've theorized for a long time it's one of the reasons there's so many Star Wars fan edits that have been going around for so many years, right? It's just an interesting concept. So even just at the absolute base floor, the idea of doing a live-action Disney cartoon, you know, like from the era we're talking about, my first thought isn't, ugh. My first thought is, well, that's an interesting challenge. Because it is a challenge, right? It is something that would be difficult to make it work. And this could probably be shown by Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and Jungle Book. And I guess Tarzan was another one? I don't know. So I'm on board with the concept. Now, I've heard a lot of mixed stuff about the ones they've done so far. It's also worth noting that most of the movies they've done so far are not movies I'm particularly a fan of to begin with. except Beauty and the Beast. That's the only one that I was already on board with, because I like Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, exactly. Like, how are they going to do Lion King, for example? Now, they already did Jungle Book, so they've already got the CGI animals thing going on. So maybe that's the direction they're going in. It's also interesting because Aladdin is probably, if you sat down to me and said, Lore, you have to pick, oh, it wasn't Disney, okay. You have to pick one of the classic, Disney animated films to do a live action take on. Honestly, Aladdin would be my very first pick. Because if you think about Aladdin for a second, stylization aside, the majority of the characters in Aladdin are actually human. And are in a relatively, I guess, grounded, as a type of setting that can be perceived as a real-life setting, right? They're the overwhelming majority of the film occurs in Agrabah. They very, very rarely leave Agrabah, only for basically 3 side scenes. 4 if we're counting the musical song, the ride thing on the carpet. There we go, the carpet ride. I can show you the world. So, I'm interested in that, and I'm curious where they're going to go with it. Now, that being said, Will Smith is going to be the genie. Now, I'm going to stop right there, because I want to know what you guys think about that before I say anything else. Make sure I got the name right, because I'm really tired. Nope, yep, I wrote it down. Will Smith. Now, I'm about to say another thing that's going to make me very unpopular. I think that's a good move. Will Smith is actually a very talented actor. He's someone who has had, I guess I should say, because I haven't seen him in anything in a long time, but had pretty good range. And that's important, in my opinion, because someone who's going to play the genie needs to be filled with... Thank you very, very much, Tazara. As ever, much appreciate that. Would you like to put that towards something? But yeah, he's a legitimately talented actor who has had some terrible roles, but I've seen him do good stuff. I know he can do good action. So if he has a good director, and the writers really take their time and effort with him, I think that could work out, my opinion. Like, this is the reason I say Will Smith works for me, because who else could do this right now? Like, as of this exact moment in history, who else do you think could pull off that kind of role the way that Robin Williams did? Because no matter what you're doing... Now, I've talked about this before. I've talked about this before. Because sometimes when you start a project, you basically start at a negative, right? Like, you already have to overcome bias or problems or anything in order to just get back to zero. And that's what this is. There is literally no way, there's literally no way to do an Aladdin film and not have it compared to Robin Williams. This isn't working for me. Let's just go to the usual music. There. There's no way you're going to avoid that comparison. It's unavoidable. And of course, unfortunately, we can't get Robin Williams to come back and do it. It's not an option. For obvious reasons. So, I'm not actually sure of the count. I've thought about that before. I've tried to look into the timing of the creation of Aladdin. I actually have a suspicion, but I wasn't able to verify this. I have a suspicion that they actually wanted to bring Robin Williams back to do the genie. Like, I mean, they're bringing several of the voice actors back for several of these works. It wouldn't surprise me if, when they first started pitching this film, which would have been like 4 years ago at this point, because that's how long films take to make, that they had actually planned to have Robin Williams on board. And they can't. So they had to adjust. But again, I'm not sure of the specifics. I wasn't able to verify, so this is just pure blind speculation. Either way. They have grapes Severance Bay. Either way, I'm not as completely off board on this as I would like to think. I'd like to actually see Aladdin. I'm not sure if I'll see it in the theaters. That depends on my friends and family. Now, Lion King is a more interesting one to me. Because in my opinion, there's just something different. Like, it's not like they can't do basically CGI animals. They've done this before. They've proven this. The tech is there. But it's always going to look different in a weird way. No matter how realistic, this is a problem with human psychology. No matter how realistic you make a live animal look, even if it looks exactly like an actual lion and looks exactly like an actual lion talking or reacting or whatever, our minds are going to be looking at that, and a part of our brain will say, lions don't do that. So there's going to be a disconnect. There's going to be an uncanny valley problem there. We bypass that when it comes to animation because the mind doesn't see a lion. It sees a cartoon. And therefore we don't have that problem. So, I'm not sure what I think of Lion King. Unlike Aladdin, Lion King might have been one of the last ones I would have picked for this. As far as doing a live action. That being said, Jon Favreau is directing it, and they're bringing back several of the actual actors. That's good. I think that's a good move. But again, I'm really not sure that this is the right move to make it. So, like I was saying with Aladdin, you know, starting from a negative, Aladdin King is starting like over, or Lion King is starting like over here. Like, hang on. Okay, now we're back at 0. I have no idea what they're doing with this. I'm not even sure why they're doing this, other than just for the mention that was earlier, you know, the extension of copyrights. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. Hi, Eisermaster. The Hyena March in live action. I don't know. Now, where's my low? Yeah, it's a very risky move. I mean, obviously I'm going to get a lot of different answers here. But, what's your favorite Disney animated film? Not the CGI stuff, the animated stuff. And you know why I'm asking it. Now, anybody who knows me knows it's actually not the Lion King. Lion King would be number 2 for me. No, Emperor's New Groove would be number 1 for me. But I ask because, by many accounts, Lion King, if not at the top, is very least in the running for being at the top. When people think of Disney films, Lion King still is one of the films that people think of. Lion King is a film that's been dissected and discussed not just by fans or by kids, but also by film critics and, you know, analysts and narrative law people, and just a good variety of people have all looked at Lion King and judged it to be good, is what I'm trying to say. It's a film that actually appeals to a fairly wide audience by virtue of its level of quality. It's actually funny, given the whole stole the story thing, but, like it or not, Lion King is a really, really well-renowned film. It's kind of like Star Trek. Let me use a parallel. I'm not going to actually ask this question. You can answer it if you want to. But if I asked a bunch of Star Trek fans what their favorite Star Trek episode is, I would get a very large variety of responses. But if you tried to ask the overall public what their favorite Star Trek episode is, it would be Best of Both Worlds. Because that's the most widespread known quality Star Trek episode. Make sense? It's not necessarily the best, because that's going to be a matter of opinion. But a lot of people know about Best of Both Worlds. Even if they're not Star Trek fans, or even if they're not even sci-fi fans, there are still people who know about the Borg. There are still people who know about that. That's Lion King. That's what Lion King is. Lion King is so well known and so well renowned, and a good film on top of that. So, that's a risk from hell. I don't know what they're thinking with that one. Where's my next point? Next point. Was that it? Oh, I know, right, Adam? Good morning, Valerian. Please don't give me money today. I don't know if I can take it. So, believe it or not, that's actually all I've got for news, because nothing newsworthy happened this week. But before we skip over to the lore run, I do have 3 of my Tumblr questions I wanted to ask you guys. So, one of these is Sonic the Hedgehog related, one of these is Breaking Bad related, and one of these is Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones related. So anybody interested in those 3 things, as ever, I asked this on stream, not just because I want to talk it out, but because I'd love your guys' thoughts on this. So, question number 1. From Anonymous. All these are from Anonymous. Everyone who asks me questions on Tumblr is Anonymous. Question number 1. In Sonic Generations, sometimes are, but not always. In Sonic Generations, Robotnik mentioned he had a teacher's degree. So my question is, Robotnik as a teacher, awesome or lame? And what subjects would he teach, as in a university or a high school? And would you attend his classes and why? What do you guys think? Hello, Dakota. Oh my god. I almost wish my throat was sore instead of seizing up. At least I can ignore pain. A lot of people are saying robotics. I like mechanical engineering. I do have a Tumblr. It's on my website. I use it just as a Q&A. It's all I use it for. Which apparently puts me in the minority. But whatever. Consequently, I'm with you guys. I think he would teach robotics. But I don't think he would just teach normal robotics. Like, say, I think Robotnik and Dr. Wily would be in different sciences, for example. Dr. Wily would teach robotics. Robotnik would teach cybernetics. Probably at the university level. Yeah, exactly. You know, prosthesis stuff. I think that's what he would teach. And I would absolutely go to those lessons, especially if, like, some materials were supplied, because I could use a couple. I need to replace my throat. And my immune system, the whole thing. Maybe my spine. I was thinking I could get, like, these 4, like, retractable arms with, like, you know, grabbers on them. What do you guys think? I'm obviously joking, but in all seriousness, I think that would actually be fascinating to learn from someone who is that skilled with cybernetics and prosthesis and all that stuff.
Your dedication will be rewarded.
The Loreweek. Who is this? It's the Count! No! Oh, thank you very, very much, the Count. I do not want to take your money. I want to take rich people's money. I was actually thinking about that recently. I appreciate every single time I get a little notification on here that says, hey, you have a new patron, it's $1. And I'm like, yay! But then I think about things like people who make $32 million for doing a project, and I just kind of go, do you know how much we could spread out $32 million? I do. I've done the math. Anyways, thank you, the Count. I will put that towards Spyro Remastered. Thank you again. Count 25. But yeah, no, I think that's what I go with. I guess that's the end of that question, so let's go and move on to the next question. So how many of you guys like Breaking Bad? Because I'm only vaguely aware of Breaking Bad. And so this is going to be more of a you guys' question than a me question. This is another reason I'm asking this one on stream rather than just answering it on Tumblr. That's true, hazardous. I haven't seen Better Call Saul. Pax has. He says it's good. Now, I have seen bits of Breaking Bad. I even did a video about it, about Heisenberg. But all I'm going to say about that is, let's just get right to the question. So the question is, going just off of Breaking Bad, ignoring Just Call Saul, or Better Call Saul, what are your thoughts on Saul Goodman as a person? I am aware that you have not followed Better Call Saul, so I'm curious to hear your statement for the record before you ever decide to watch it. So he was specifically asking me, because I haven't seen Better Call Saul, what I think of Saul Goodman just within Breaking Bad. So I kind of redirect this question to you guys, because all I can say is that he's a slimy scumball who probably should have committed suicide years ago. That's all I got. You haven't met him yet. And yes, Jammy Manor, they did. A slimy con man. Slimeball con man in a world of con men. He's a lawyer. Andrew says, a practically minded individual with a sense of how the real world works. Guys, I think Andrew's evil. We need to kill him. Cowardly weasel, says Mega. Smart but slimy. Thank you, patron, who... I'm not going to say your name out loud, obviously, but thank you. He represented the type perfectly. I'll actually agree with that. I'll agree with that. All I'm going to say about Breaking Bad is I think that they basically reached a logical conclusion at a certain point in the show. I'm not going to spoil it because I just saw that people haven't seen the whole show in chat. I feel like Breaking Bad hit a logical conclusion point and then kept going for a bit, and I think that kept going for a bit is the problem. I do like the ending, though. I thought the ending worked. I also have my own theories on Heisenberg, but I did a video about that. I will also agree that from memory, Saul was an interesting actor. I'm sorry, I want to say that more correctly. That he looked, you know, he did the part well. He did the part well. He wasn't a get off my screen character, which is very easy for a slimeball character to be a get off my screen character. So I'll give him credit for that. Damn it, Andrew. I agree with that, hazardous. No, you're right, Revan. I mean, to use probably the most archetypal example of a show that should have ended much earlier than it did, Friends. And they kept going on with it because it was still bringing in money. Way too long. Anyways. Moving on. So let's go ahead and ask the next question. So this is kind of a combination Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones one. I could see that, Adam. I could see that. Now, I actually know Lord of the Rings pretty damn well. I barely know Game of Thrones. I'm cognizant of Game of Thrones. So here's the question. Aragorn, Gandalf, Saruman, okay, I'm with it so far, Sauron, and Smaug, are individually teleported to Westeros. What do you think they would do? Their goals? Would there be any who would be able to stand up to them in pursuit of their goals? Who do you think they would ally themselves with? And how well do you think they would get along with the main cast of Game of Thrones? Oh, you're right, it is Aragorn. He actually spelled it Aragon. That's why I said Aragon. Yeah, Aragorn, sorry. So Aragorn, Gandalf, Saruman, Sauron, and Smaug. See, that's the problem. They would almost have to get depowered, because... I mean, okay, first of all, Aragorn is basically just a guy, but he's also a guy who lives very long, and is also effectively superhuman, just at a low level of superhuman. Gandalf and Saruman are either wizards at the lowest possible interpretation, or literally angels. And so is Sauron, actually. Smaug is either a poofster, if you go by the books, or a nightmare death lizard who's the size of several buildings, if you go off the movies. I like the movie version better. Yeah, Game of Thrones is super low tier. No, come back next time. Oh, well. He does specifically say Game of Thrones, not sort of Song of Fire and Ice. Yeah, I see. What I would picture, this is my own answer on this. Aragorn would look at how incredibly screwed up it was, and again, movie Aragorn, and I want to stress that, because book Aragorn is not that great of a person. In fact, he's barely a character. But movie Aragorn, I cannot picture him accepting Westeros. You know what I mean? I can picture him just looking at them going, this is wrong! This is so wrong! And Aragorn has some historical experience with humans being corrupt to the point of bleh, right? I mean, that's one of the things he's rallied against, is the historical consequence of his bloodline personally, as well as what has happened to men as of the Third Era in general. So I think Aragorn would be the one who's just like, all right, I'm not putting up with this, and would do everything in his power to just change things. Now, the problem is... Aragorn, I don't think, could actually succeed at that. Not without help. So Gandalf... God, I don't know what the hell Gandalf would do. Or Saruman. Let me get back to those. Sauron. See, this is an interesting one, because we'd have to define exactly what Sauron is at this exact point in time. Is he in full form, wandering around as an elf, basically? Is he, well, yeah, exactly, Takoida. That's kind of my point. Aragorn is filled with... Thank you very, very much, Pretzel. I've never heard of this game. So I'm going to have to vet that. Do you have a backup in case I decide no? Ooh, oh, Jesus. Zel. Utawarerumono. Mask of Deception. Make sure I'm spelling it right there. So, yeah, see, okay. We have to define how exactly these people are being translated over here. Nah, it's crazy, Zedslayer. The, okay, Sauron. Is he the Eye? Is he the guy who's walking around? Like, is he the guy who's still, was just pulled out of the First War? I mean, which Sauron are we talking about here? So, that being stated, all I can think of is that Sauron would just absolutely roll over the entirety of Westeros. He would just crush it like a bug. Like, I'm sorry. Even Sauron, who isn't all that strong, relatively speaking, would just be like, crunch, crunch, crunch. I mean, it would be so easy for someone like Sauron, who's really good at this kind of thing in general, to be like, hey, join me. Okay. Join me. Okay. Join me. No. Smash! All right, join me. Okay. And then he would just build his army and then crush everything. Sauron would win, basically. He would just absolutely steamroll over everything. And Sauron is really good at manipulating his way through people. There's a reason he's called Sauron the Deceiver, although that's a specific instance, but still. So Sauron would just win. Let's go ahead and move that over to the side. What incentive would he give them for joining? They don't die, Mike Romano. But no, Sauron just wins. So let's move past him. Smaug? Is there any treasure worth a damn in Westeros? I actually don't know. And I don't just mean like gold coins. I mean like treasure. Because Smaug isn't just interested in a giant pile of treasure. He's interested in the best treasure. The absolute highest end of this is the best thing that there is, and it's mine. So I'm seeing several people say that the Iron Bank, something called Casterly Rock. Oh yeah, I know there are dragons in Game of Thrones, but they're, from what I understand, they're like ittle bitty compared to Smaug. So personally, I picture Smaug would just be like, okay, you would go after the other dragons first, establish dominance, or just kill them. And then he would go around for a while until he found... Yes, I do, Jimmy Bailey. It's the exact same music you're listening to. And then he would find a spot that, you know, was wealthy enough, because you guys say there is one, and he would just say, this is mine now. And then he'd go to sleep. And every time someone tried to challenge him, he'd just kill them. Remember, there's no dwarven special arrows or anything like this in this setting. You got it, Pretzel. Sekiro, just in case. And thank you again. So, that's Smaug, and that's Sauron. Let's go ahead and move on to Saruman. Now, I have heard a lot of different interpretations of Saruman over the years. And personally, I think, how the hell is that even possible, Adam Ciuta? What is there in this setting that's possible to defeat Smaug? Like, I'm sorry, Game of Thrones is super duper low tier. It's part of the point. They barely have magic. Where the hell? Anyways, Saruman. Now, his whole shtick is wisdom, right? Now, my personal interpretation of that is the idea that Saruman decided to join with Sauron because it was the wise thing to do. Now, I know that's not how it was in the books, and I know that's not the original intent. You don't have to argue that with me. I just prefer that interpretation. Because again, Saruman, wisdom, joining with Sauron. It would be wise, my friend. I love that. I love that. Now, I bring that up because I really do think that Saruman, the wise, would look at the whole of the situation of Westeros and just kind of go, well, this is wrong. This is a mess. And personally, I think Saruman would just peace out. He would say, all right, this is dumb. He would go over here and leave himself completely away from just, no, I'm not dealing with any of this crap. And either become a hermit or devote himself towards trying to find a way to get back home. Because personally, a Saruman who has yet to either have been corrupted by the ring or by personal greed, has yet to have lost himself to his own cynicism, I can't see him giving a crap other than just trying to leave. Even the one that's corrupted, I would just see him as being, how do I put this? Uninterested, for lack of a better way to put it. I do actually remember you, Kevin, because I want to say Kevin Mountain, and I believe I said that the last time too, but I was like, no, that's an M. Thank you very much. I actually don't use a super nice camera, but I use the nicest one I have access to. I could get a 4K camera, but why would I bother with that? Now, that being stated, if Saruman decided to politic, I think he would also basically win. It wouldn't be quite as overt or obvious as Sauron, but again, Saruman literally has the voice. Saruman has the ability to move between people, to change their perceptions, or to alter their understanding of reality, and to basically coerce people. That's what he's good at. It's what he's best at, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did something along those lines. I just can't see him caring. Which only leaves us with Gandalf. What the hell would Gandalf do in Westeros other than say, "This is wrong"? Like, and you think I'm joking? I can actually picture. Okay, picture Joffrey. Okay, picture Joffrey, and Joffrey's doing that thing where he's on his throne, like, yeah. And then picture Gandalf just walks into the throne room, and everyone's like, "Who's this guy?" And Gandalf's got his stick, and he just walks up, whap, and he just smacks Joffrey on the top of the head. "Stop it!" Whap! "No! This is wrong!" He would say it more eloquently than I can, but, you know. No! And then everyone else is like, "Oh my god, he attacked the king!" And, you know, magic protection spell. And he turns back. You are no king! Whap! I agree, Kevin. I agree with the usurper thing. Flame of voodoo. Yeah, whap him in the butt. Get your stuff together, son. I am the king. No, you're not. Whap. Now, Takoida's right. That would totally be how a religion would start in Game of Thrones. That would be exactly what would happen. Like, oh, the great Gandalf the White. I'm assuming Gandalf the White, by the way. The great Gandalf the White. One of my favorite lines of dialogue in all of Lord of the Rings is, I did not pass through fire and death to bandy words with a to bandy wicked words with a witless worm. Excuse me. And I'm just picturing something like that. Wipe. What, dog? No, Mega. That's a little bit beyond. Again, Lord of the Rings is also pretty low tier, relatively speaking, compared to several fantasy settings. It's certainly higher tier than Game of Thrones, but it is still relatively low tier. Probably Micromono. I don't know. Okay. I guess that's it? So that's all I got for Loreweek. Like I said, I didn't have a long Loreweek planned. Which is good. Because that means that I have to open the garage. There we go. Because that means that it's time to go ahead and start with something that some of you may or may not care about. Diablo. So, I'm going to go ahead and chop off the local recording really quick.